in normal times. My name is Gloria Boatmaa Andoh, a suicide prevention activist and the founder of Weinglo Family International, and the host for Life Chat at Weinglo Family International. Welcome once again, my followers and my viewers. I hope you're all doing well. Today, we are going to be talking about a very important topic. Like I said, Weinglo Family International is engaging followers and viewers on how to deal with the stresses of life. Sometimes you can be rich today and the next moment you are broke. The next moment something has happened. The next moment your status, the financial status has changed. Today we want to look at it in our personal life, in our business life, and in this era of COVID-19. Our guest today is Paul Kofi Mante, who's the MD for Ecobank Investments. So he's online. You'll be acting, I guess, very soon. But hey, share 10 people because it would be very benefit someone. So if you're online, hello, I see Mame, I see Jennifer. Please share to 10 people and invite people to come online because we are online and we are starting. We're on fire, so we are starting. Hello.
Hi,
Hey.
good evening.
Please, how are you doing?
Doing very well, and how are you doing?
I'm also very well, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, good job you
We
are
are
doing. Keep it up.
Thank you very much. We are so happy to have you here. You know you are very busy, but today, by God's grace, have you on the live chat with Weinglo. And I
Thank
believe as
you.
you always do it, you always help us and update us for us to learn and educate ourselves. In fact, to be financially independent. So,
I like that. Financial independence.
independent, yes. So today, you know, you do a very good job.
Thank
So
you.
today, I
Thank you.
financial changes in financial status. We believe that today somebody is rich, tomorrow the person is broke.
Mm.
Somebody has business today, the business has collapsed. And in this era of COVID-19, a lot of people are losing their business and investments that is made and all that. But we know that you, as a investment person, we know that you before we leave here, you'll be giving us a good tips on where to put our money and how to even go about it. So first of all, we
Yeah.
want to talk about what can be the cause of financial change in financial status on either personal on or business.
Many thanks to you, and good evening to our
Mhm.
viewers, especially good evening to my wife Linda, who is my manager at home, making
Yes.
sure that everything is fine. Yeah. So there are a number of things that can contribute to changes in a person's financial status. For some of the things we can control, and for some of the things we cannot control. So it's important to differentiate between the two. Let me start from the bottom. So, for example, sickness is something you may not have control over, but that could seriously impact on your finances and change your financial situation completely. But there are other things we have control over. An example is COVID-19. COVID-19 has pushed a lot of people out of jobs. People have lost their businesses. But there are people who have lost jobs, but who are still fine because
Yes.
when they were working, they were saving and they were invested. So our recommendation, and I think COVID-19 has brought a lot of the things we have been discussing over the years into perspective. One of the important questions I always ask is this question: that if you lost your job today, how many months, how many years are you going to be able to survive without salary? It's a question I've been asking the last 5 years or so, and people never took it serious. It's when COVID-19 started that I started receiving calls that, hey, we didn't take it serious. Now
Yeah.
we see the reality. So
Yeah.
For workers who are purely on the salary, if you don't save, because you see, gone were the days where the thinking was once you get a good education, you're going to find a good job, you work till you are 60, you get a good pension. Those days have gone for good. I have clients that I manage. For some of my clients, when they were in the universities, companies came to the universities and did presentations to convince them. So this company will come and run a presentation and tell you about the package and the benefits and why you should decide to work with them. And students had to decide that I want to work with this company or that company.
Yeah.
And for most of these elderly people I am managing finances for today, they work with one company all their lives. So majority of them get out of school, have their first job, and they are there till they are 60 years. But these are people who completed school in the 80s and in the 70s. Fast track to 2020, it's not the case. There is nothing like a job for life. There is nothing like a job for life, and people need to understand that there is nothing like a job for life. You have a job today, it does not mean you would have a job tomorrow. It may not. It may have nothing to do with your employer, but some situations outside the control of your employer can even shut down your business. Technology is one of them. Just a new innovation can change the face of businesses. And there are some kind of business that if you are in, one technology within 6 months can shut down your company. And once it shuts down your company, you don't have a job. Things like natural disaster, things like what we are experiencing today, COVID, can change the situation of the company. If the company is not operating, if they are not making sales, if they are not making revenue, they may keep you for some time, but it gets to a point they would not be able to keep you any longer, and you'll be asked to leave. So one of the major things that affects people and change their financial status, and we are seeing that a lot today, is if we are not saving, if we are not investing. When it comes to companies and those who run businesses, again, things like technology, innovation, and all that can change the face of your business. And there were people who had good businesses running in the month of February. Before the end of March, they had closed down. So we also recommend that as you run a business, you build some investment on the side. So you have some money working for you, and you have your business also generating returns. Because the thing about business is the profitability can be very great. So if you are not careful, because of that, you put all your eggs in one basket. And if something happens and you are pushed out of the business, then you would find yourself wanting. So we recommend that even if you are running your own business, try to get some investment on the side running for you. It may not generate returns as high as what your business is generating, but it serves as a buffer. And of course, the concept of insurance is one of the things we can think about and make sure that you have a business, but you have insurance covering you. So when something happens, a fire outbreak, a number of things can come and then affect your business. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So you would see that, like what you're saying, it all boils to the fact that you need to have a sort of saving. And I've listened to you on how to save in bits. Can you please share that with us? Because most people run business, no savings, no insurance. People actually work from the time they started work till now, and they don't have any savings. So please, can you educate us on how to do this saving, to be able to do this, so that even no matter how small amount of money you earn, you still can make a saving towards the future?
Thank you. That is a very good question, and I mean, viewers are encouraged to share this page so other people can join and then enjoy these good discussions we are having. So when it comes to savings, basically what this savings is deferred consumption, money not spent. That is the layman's definition of savings. Deferred consumption, money not spent. So, for example, you are working and you are on a salary of, let's say, 500 cedis. If you are paid the 500 cedis and you spend 400 and you defer the consumption of the 100 cedis, what you have done is you have saved 100 cedis. So savings is money that we have not spent. I will talk about the ways how to go about it, but it's important to put on record that it's not enough to save. Yeah. Because if you save, let's say if you have 10,000 Ghana cedis today, and you keep this money in your room for another 2 years, go and count it, you still have 2,000 Ghana cedis, but the purchasing power would have come down. Okay. What you can do with the 10,000 Ghana cedis today, if you keep that money for 2 years, you cannot do with your 10,000 Ghana cedis. Even though the money is still 10,000 Ghana cedis, the purchasing power would have gone down. So it's not enough to save. Savings becomes just the beginning. But beyond savings, you want to invest. Investment means that you commit whatever you have saved to work for you and generate some more returns. And when you are investing, the minimum returns you are looking at is you want to have above inflation, because inflation will generally measure the increment in the prices of goods and services. So you want to make sure that in the worst case, whatever you could do with your money today, 2 years, 5 years down, 10 years down the lane, that money should accumulate enough interest that you should be able to do that same thing or minimum of that same thing. And the reason why we are saying invest is because we are encouraging viewers to aim at becoming financially independent. And when we talk about financial independence here, it simply means getting to that stage in life where you can sustain your desired lifestyle without salary. Getting to that stage in life where you can sustain your desired lifestyle without salary. My mantra is financial independence is possible. So, for example, if you need 4,000 Ghana cedis every month for your desired lifestyle, 4,000 a month, just for the purposes of this discussion, what it means is within a year, you will need 48,000 Ghana cedis. That is 4,000 multiplied by 12 months. Now, if you have investment of 300,000 Ghana cedis, 300,000 Ghana cedis, and you can get an average interest of 20%, that 300,000 Ghana cedis is going to generate 60,000 Ghana cedis for you a year. And don't forget, when we multiply our 4,000 by 12, we have 48,000. Now that 60,000 interest is higher than how much you need. In fact, if you divide the 60,000 by 12, you're going to have 5,000 cedis every month. So for your desired lifestyle, you need 4,000 a month, but you have investment of 300,000 that is generating 5,000 Ghana cedis a month. So the return on your investment is higher than how much you need for your desired lifestyle. So at this point, then we can say you are financially independent, because without the salary, the return on your investment is enough to take care of you. You are sorted. Now, when you become financially independent, it does not mean you don't have to work, but it means you don't need to work. You work because you want to work. You don't work because you need to work. And you select what you want to do, because money does not become the sole driving point. You are not doing this just because you want to have bread and butter and to take care of the bills, because your investment is enough to be taking care of the bills. Now, when it comes to savings, how do you go about it? And I know a number of listeners or viewers are going to tell me that, look, what are you talking about? Already the salary is not enough. No. And you are here telling us that we should be saving and investing. One of the key principles I keep teaching is the concept of paying yourself. The concept of paying yourself. Paying yourself and investing all went force. Paying yourself and investing all went force. What do I mean by this concept? So we work hard. We make money. Yeah. Once we make the money, look at what happens. We start spending. You pay your rent. Yeah. Once you pay your rent, you have given money to a landlord, and that money is not coming back. We buy food. Once you buy the food, you have given the money to the food seller. That money is not coming back. You fix your hair. Once you fix your hair, that money
yes,
is gone. It's not coming back. You do a number of things. You pay school fees, you pay the utility bills and all that. So for the average worker, they work hard, they make the money, but they redistribute the money. So you meet people who have worked for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. In fact, after, there is nothing to show. I think last year or last 2 years, I had a show with Bernard Avle on CTFM. Normally, beginning of the year, we have some of these series to encourage people to save and invest. And a gentleman came to my office after the program. You know what he had done? He had gone to his bank and asked that print bank statement for me from the day I started work till today. They printed a bank statement for him, and he brought a bank statement. For the period he had been working, total money that had come in in terms of salary and bonuses and all that, was more than 1 million Ghana cedis. More than 1 million Ghana cedis. But this gentleman did not have 10,000 Ghana cedis in investment.
It counts. Wow.
In his account. Because the money comes and money goes. The money comes and then the money goes. You see? And one of the dangers in life is when you know you'll be paid at the end of the month. Because when you know you'll be paid at the end of the month, you spend knowing very well that you are going to be paid at the end of the month. You know, so you spend because, look, after all, what is today's date? You check the date and you start thinking about the next payday. And you know that payday will come. So you encourage yourself waiting for the next payday. Before you realize you have worked for 10 years, for 15 years, and you have nothing to show. See, there is a law called the Parkinson Law, and it's one of the important laws viewers need to understand if you want to become financially independent. The Parkinson Law says that no matter how much people earn, they will always adjust their lifestyle to match their salary. No matter how much people earn, the average worker will adjust his or her salary to match, will adjust the lifestyle to match the salary. And I tested this beginning of last year when I had a session with the church. And I asked a simple question: how many of you struggle with your salaries? If your salary is not enough, let me see it by hand. And, you know, all the hands went up in the auditorium. I said, wow, great. So how many of you are trusting God that if your salary is doubled, you can begin to live a comfortable life? And the hands went up. And I said, okay, those of you have lifted your hands, 10 of you step out and let's have a conversation. So 10 of them step out, and I gave them pieces of paper, asked each person to write their current salary for me. Among the 10, the lowest income earner was on a salary of 350 Ghana cedis a month. 350 Ghana cedis a month. This person said it was not enough. 350 Ghana cedis a month. It was not enough. But you see, among the 10, there was one on 1,500 cedi salary, which is 4 times the 350. But the guy earning 350 says it's not enough. And the guy earning 1,500 says it's not enough. One was on a salary of 5,000 Ghana cedis. One was on a salary of 11K. The highest income earner among the 10 was on a salary of 20,000 Ghana cedis. Now the guy earning 350 Ghana cedis says it's not enough. And the guy earning 20,000 Ghana cedis a month says it's not enough. So the issue is not really about the salary. The issue is about the lifestyle. So I recommend that you practice the principle of 10, 20, 70. You pay your tithe of 10%. If you are a tither, and if you are somebody who believes in tithing. If you don't believe in tithing, you can still give 10% to society. But I recommend a minimum of 20% for yourself and for your future. 20% minimum. 20%. Any worker who can put away 20% of your salary in an investment, I give you 15 years, you are going to be fine. Any worker who can put away 20% so that the landlord, the utility company, rent, transportation, and all that, they will share the 70. And you don't care about that. However, they share the 70 is their problem.
Yeah.
Because you see, it doesn't matter how low you think your salary is. Somebody's salary is lower than yours.
Yes.
And that person is not dead. That person survives. So don't tell me if you commit 20% of your salary, you are going to die. We all work. There are months that expenditures come up that we didn't budget for. Something happens and you need to cough up some money and take care of some expense that you had not budgeted for. But we don't die during those months. We survive. The thing is in the mind. We need to ask ourselves, how come when people take loans and they are servicing the loans, throughout the period of the servicing of the loans, they manage with whatever is left after the loan deduction. But when they finish paying the loan, immediately they switch to the full salary. And they will tell you the salary is still not enough. But when they were paying the loan, they were managing. You know, so I recommend 20%. This 20% idea I picked from the Bible. The advice Joseph gave to Pharaoh when Pharaoh had a dream. He said, when we have the good time of harvest, let's put 1/5 of the harvest away. 1/5 is 20%. And when the difficult times come, we are going to be fine. Everybody watching me, everybody in your lifetime, God is so wise. Everybody will have a time of harvest. The point is, when we have the time of harvest, we don't put away the 20%, the 1/5. And once you don't put away the 20%, when the time of challenges come, then you will struggle because you will not have anything to fall on. And I recommend that you also invest all windfalls. A windfall is any money you haven't budgeted to receive, because you would have lived your life without that money. Monies you haven't budgeted to receive, you would have lived your life without that money. So it is not for spending. When it comes, it's for investment. Let me mention one more thing, and I'll talk about little numbers, and then you can pick it up from there. You see, the only way you can find the money to invest is to watch spending habits. You got to watch spending habits. See, every expenditure can be cut down. Every expenditure, and I mean every expenditure can be cut down between 1 and about 70%. Every expenditure, if you pay attention to it, and let's watch first time spending. If you haven't done it before, whether it's your marriage or naming ceremony or your first car or your first house, if you haven't done it before, you talk to people who have done it before. Else, if it is your first house, by the time you finish, somebody has used part of your building materials, and that person is almost done with his house.
Yeah.
Because you buy 30 bags of cement, 15 will be used for your property, 15 is diverted elsewhere. So let's watch first time spending. But one of my favorite quotations is this, that your salary must dictate what you eat, not your appetite.
Okay.
Your salary. You see, if you want to take the issue of money serious, you need to declare independence. You are not in competition with anybody. You are not in competition with anybody. You declare independence and you make sure simple things. You see, if you drill down and you look at the things we spend money on, it becomes very easy to cut down on the expenses. So, for example, utility bills. Believe you me, electricity bill, you can reduce it. For a number of homes, you will realize that during the day, lights are left on. And as lights are left on, it's money going down the drain. Even in the night, if you are going to sleep and the lights within the building that you don't need whilst you are asleep, you leave them on, let's say from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. That is 6 hours. 6 hours of electricity bill that you are paying that you did not use because you left the light on. If you did this for 10 years, what you have done is you are going to pay electricity bill for 6 hours a night, multiplied by 365 days, multiplied by 10 years, and that is 21,900 hours of electricity bill that you did not use, equivalent of about 912 days of electricity bill that we did not use. So these are simple things, like the way we use water. A number of homes, when children are washing dishes, once they open the water, it keeps flowing whilst they are washing the dishes, when they are taking their bath, when they are brushing their teeth. The tap is open, and as the water is running, it is money going down.
Yeah.
You may see it as petty, but when it
Yeah.
comes to making money, there is nothing like pettiness. Even the way children cast toothpaste, sometimes they can cast it like this, full brush, and the second one will land on the floor when they could have used half of that. So if they did that, they have used toothpaste for 4 days instead of 1 day.
Yes.
It's
Wow.
like the way,
Please share the
yeah.
page, because this insight, everybody needs to hear this. For us to be financially independent, this is the best way. Because, like you're saying, my mind just got to that, and I'm like, wow. Because we do
Yeah.
it, and we don't think money is actually going down the drain.
You see, money is made little by little, and money is lost little by little. I am a
Sure.
fund manager. By the grace of God, we are managing over 3 billion Ghana cedis. So we meet with people who are wealthy. You meet somebody who is extremely rich, a millionaire. He says, look, let's have lunch before you leave. You are waiting, you're having a conversation. The wife comes to ask you, we are cooking plantain. You know Oniaba? Said, yes, I know Oniaba. How many fingers will you eat? You say 3 fingers. They finish, they will bring you 3 fingers. Because when the rich are cooking, they would consider how many people are going to eat the food and what portions they are going to be eating before they cook. The poor and the middle class, we finish cooking and then we think about those who will eat. So if you are watching this show, you cannot throw away food again from tomorrow, because we are talking about saving. If you don't learn how to block the holes, you will not find the money to save and then invest. Children are washing. They leave the soap in the water until they are done with the washing. That is money going down the drain. So these are minor, simple things you may take for granted. But that is money we are wasting. Simple things. You may, look, we leave air conditioning on. It runs during the day. In a number of homes, TV is on during the day. There is nobody watching. And maybe the final thing I want to say on the spending habit is get the whole family involved. Your spouse, your children. You must always sit down. Let me share something interesting with you. You can laugh over it. One day we put all the boys in the car and we took them around. We said everybody should select the house they want. Several years ago. So we went to the airport hills, East Legon, all the places you find the nice houses, and they were selecting by heart. Oh, I like this house. Oh, I like this house. When we got home, then I explained to them that the only way we can build that house is if you leave the light on during the day. We cannot build that house. The windows in that house will be gone. If you leave the tap running, and you see the children understood it. So now they started putting pressure on us. I remember one time I was bathing, I heard a knock on the door. I said, who is that? It was, I think it was our second Sunday. He said he's had the tap running in the bathroom for too long. I am wasting the water. So I better make sure that we are able to build or buy the house we had seen. So the children can understand. The children can understand. One of the things we do, anytime we are going to the mall, we agree on a budget at home. All the children. So everybody has their budget from home. So you know that you have a budget of 50 cedis or 100 cedis. We don't get to the mall and you see everything and you are confused and you want to carry the mall home. You cannot carry the mall home. You have a budget. So they go around and they pick the things themselves. You have a budget. But you see, when they pick it, the first thing they want to look out for is the price. So they check the price. The guy has a budget of 100 cedis. He looks at the price, it's 180. He says, oh, I cannot buy it. Let me put it. If you are not careful, you go to the mall with your children and you see they'll go and cry.
Yes.
They will cry. You don't have a budget. They will cry. And an irresponsible man passing by who does not know the problems you have will advise you that, oh, these are children. It's nothing. Just buy it for them. Meanwhile, he doesn't know the challenges you have. So watch spending habit. It's only when you watch spending habit that you will find the money to invest. And you see, once you start saving, there is something called the concept of little by little and the power of compounding. You build wealth little by little, and the power of compounding is when you make interest and you don't take the interest and you allow the interest to also make interest, and the interest on the interest makes interest, and the money keeps growing. So I use one of the funds we manage, the fixed income fund, that has generated a return of 22% over the last 7 years. If you use that average, and I am compounding quarterly, anybody who can invest just 100 cedis every month, 100 cedis every month, within 10 years, 12,000 grows to 40,000 Ghana cedis. Within 20 years, 24,000 grows to 389,000. Within 30 years, 36,000, 100 cedis every month. Just that. The total amount you would have invested is 36,000 Ghana cedis. But that 36,000 Ghana cedis would have generated interest of 3.3 million Ghana cedis.
Wow.
3.3 million Ghana cedis. I know that some viewers are there saying that, what are you talking about? What is 20 years? What is 30 years? We want to make money now. You are talking about 20 years, 30 years. It does not work that way. Even when God was giving the promised land to the Israelites, he said, I will not give the whole land to you one day. You will take over the land little by little. Wealth is created little by little. You need minimum of 5 years, maximum of 30 years. Anybody can build a fortune. Minimum of 5 years, maximum of 30 years. Anybody can build a fortune.
Wow.
You remember we were in this country when President Kofi became the president of Ghana. You remember?
Yeah.
You know, this is 20 years.
That's fast. Yes.
That is fast.
Yeah.
Yes. This is 20 years already. So you cannot tell me 20 years is too far. If you can do 500 cedis every month, 500 cedis every month, within 20 years, your 120,000 Ghana cedis is 1.9 million Ghana cedis. Within 30 years, your 180,000 Ghana cedis will grow to 16.8 million. The interest on the 180,000 alone is 16.6 million. 16.6 million Ghana cedis. And I am using 100 cedis and 500 cedis. So can you imagine the high income earners? Because look, I did a session, so we do some of this presentation for corporate entities. I did one somewhere around mid-year last year, or I guess last year or so. We finished, a woman came to me and said, look, I don't have any investment, but based on what you shared in the session, I could not sleep. I want to start with something. I've looked at my inflows and outflows again. I believe I can conveniently do away with 12,000 Ghana cedis every month. And that will not affect my expenses. And for the last 8 months or so, this woman has been investing 12,000 Ghana cedis every month. So the question you ask yourself is, before this woman met with me within that session, what was she doing with that extra 12,000? So the salary is never going to be enough. If you can do 2,000 Ghana cedis a month, 2,000 Ghana cedis a month, within 10 years, 240,000 goes to 819,000 Ghana cedis. Within 20 years, 480,000 Ghana cedis grow to 7.7 million. Within 30 years, 720,000 grows to 67 million Ghana cedis. 67 million Ghana cedis. So you build wealth little by little, and with the power of compounding, where you allow the interest to make interest, and the interest on the interest to make interest, and the money keeps growing. What I would recommend to viewers is, if you can put in some lump sum into an investment, and try to be adding a certain amount every month. But don't end it there. every year try to increase that amount. So for example, somebody who is investing, let's say, an amount of
So if you asking
10,000
that, so
Ghana.
those
Sorry.
investments, our viewers are asking, where do we put this investment? You know that you are with Ecobank, and
Yeah.
because these days the number one issue took a lot of people's money away, so we want to be sure that this time
Yeah.
around it's going to be a safer place. So please, as you are telling us how to invest and how to save
Yeah.
money, where is
Yeah.
the ideal place we put? Because I know you have a fixed deposit that you guys do
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
please, whilst
Yeah.
waiting,
Yeah.
please put it
Yeah.
out there so that we can add that
Okay.
to our.
Good one. Good one. So where do you invest? So you can invest in anything, number one, whatever. But it's important to explain this concept. When it comes to investment, there is always a relationship between risk and returns. There is always a relationship between risk and returns. Where the returns is high, the risk is high.
Okay.
You cannot eat your cake and have it. So if somebody promises you, so for example, if treasury bill, it's, let's say, just for the purposes of this presentation, 20% for a year, 20% per annum for a year, and somebody tells you that I'll give you 10% every month, you need to ask, what is the person going to do with my money to be able to, what is so profitable that a person can generate his or her own profit, and part of his profit give me 10% every year. So where the risk is high, the return is high. Where the return is high, the risk is high. It's important to understand this concept. There is a relationship between risk and then returns. I remember an elderly woman I met who wanted to move money elsewhere. One of these companies that was providing some crazy monthly interest. I said, no way, I will not allow you. So, but my friends have been there. They have been collecting interest every month. I said, I will not allow you. And of course, she takes counsel from me. So she decided to stick to whatever we had done for her. 2 months down the lane, that company went down.
See?
That company went down. So for you can invest in anything, but look at the risk and then the returns.
Okay.
Where to starters invest? There are 2 areas I'll recommend for starters. 2 areas. You either do the treasury bills, the treasury securities, or you do the mutual funds and unit trusts. They are collectively called the collective investment schemes, mutual funds or unit trusts. And you are free to go anywhere. You need to make sure, one, they are registered, they are properly regulated, they have a certain track record and all that. So there are a number of questions you need to ask before you give your money to anybody. But of course, I am the managing director of EDC Investments Ltd. So I am happier if you came to us. If you are coming to EDC, the fund I will recommend, or the product I'll recommend, is called the EDC Fixed Income Fund. The EDC Fixed Income Fund. And all you need is, once you have your passport picture, you have any national ID with your digital address, on Monday you can start. You go to any Ecobank branch, you say, I want to start investing in the EDC Fixed Income Fund. You have your passport picture, any national ID, and your digital address, you are good to start. And all you need is a minimum of 50 Ghana cedis. 50 Ghana cedis. The fund size at the moment is about 1.4 billion Ghana cedis, the biggest fund in Ghana. The biggest investor in the fund has about 32, 33 million Ghana cedis. The smallest investor has 50 Ghana cedis. So somebody has 100,000, somebody has 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, all that put together, invested for them. And interest is calculated on a daily basis. We are not paying the interest on a daily basis, but we are doing the calculation on a daily basis. So anytime you need your money, you can have your money with the interest. So I recommend the fixed income fund if you are looking at investing with us, the EDC Fixed Income Fund, and you can do this at any Ecobank branch. I believe I've answered your question.
Okay, it looks like you've covered all the questions for us. But viewers, please, if you have questions, keep asking whilst we keep talking. So we want to ask, is it good at this era you take loan?
I see some interesting comments there. That is a little gender bias. It says ladies must learn to cut all unnecessary expenses. That ladies must. That if it's only ladies who must learn to cut out all unnecessary expenses. Of course, we must all learn to cut out unnecessary expenses. Is it good to take a loan during this period? It's yes and no. It depends on what you are using the loan for. It's a dangerous thing to take a loan to consume. Because a loan is your future income. And we need to know that. It's not free money. Yeah. When you take a loan, it's your future income that you are taking to pay. So if you take a loan, you say, oh, we'll give you 2 years, we'll give you 3 years to pay. You should know that in the next 2 years to 3 years, the income you would be making, that you would be servicing the loan. So loan is not a bad concept. Loan could be great. It just depends on what you are going to do with the loan. I discourage you from taking a loan to consume. Don't take a loan to go and buy a TV. If you take a loan to buy a TV, anytime you are watching the TV, you should know it's your future income that you are watching. So, don't go and take a loan to go and marry a beautiful wedding with a buffet lunch and dinner and this and that, and you take a loan. If you take a loan for a wedding, you are going to start your marital life in a pit. Because you will need time to pay the loan. It's only when you are finished paying the loan that you come to ground zero. And then you can start life. I keep asking this person, after all, what is the first miracle Jesus performed? Changing water to wine at a wedding. So even in the days of Jesus, there were shortages at weddings. So if you have a shortage at your wedding in the year 2000, it's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's nothing new at all. So loans are good. Loans can be great. It depends on the cash that what you are using the loan for. Don't take a loan to consume. Let me give you one example of a loan I will recommend, and that is a mortgage. If you take a loan to buy a house, because when you take a loan to buy a house, unlike paying rent, when you pay rent, anytime you pay the rent, that money is gone for good. It will never come back again. Once you hand over that money to that landlord, you should know that it's only going to give you a temporary place to be sleeping. But that money is not for good. But if you took a mortgage to buy a house, immediately you move into the house. But what is going to happen is, as you are servicing the mortgage or as you are repaying the loan, you are owning that house. Unlike paying the rent, you are owning that house. And I say, if you take a mortgage, you give yourself 7 years. Focus, be committed, drop all other expenses, and clear the mortgage as quickly as possible. Take it off your head, and you are a free person. You have a house. So if you want to take a mortgage, I recommend a 2-bedroom or maximum 3-bedroom that could be expanded. If you get a 2-bedroom with enough land around the house, super, you are great. Take it. You can always expand it to a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom house. You know, so mortgage for a loan for me is not a bad idea, because immediately you stop paying rent, you have a place to sleep, and you are owning that house every month as you are repaying the loan or as you are servicing your mortgage. So loans themselves are not bad. It depends on the purpose for which you are taking the loan.
Okay, so somebody is asking that if you are outside the country, is it good to be investing in lands? And also, if you're outside the country, can you do the investment you are talking about?
Good question. If you're outside the country, yes, let me start with the second question. Yes, you can invest in the investment I'm talking about. We have clients all over the world, Canada, US, UK. We have clients scattered all over the world, China, all over. With the power of technology, today it's so seamless that you can be anywhere and at the click of your button or the button on your phone, just at the click of a certain key, you can either move money or check balance or do a few things here and there. So yes, it's possible. On the investment in lands, it's a tricky one, whether you're outside the country or within the country, because of the issue of land litigation. Even lands with proper documentations can go through a long litigation.
Yeah.
So I am not big on the land. There are people who have specialized in that area and they know how to take control over the land to make sure they can organize land gas, and they can do a few things to make sure that they are protecting their land. Of course, you need to make sure that whatever means you are going to use to protect your land is legal and it's within the frame of the law or within the context of law. You don't do anything unlawful. I am not big on land. I'd rather invest in financial securities. They are quiet. Nobody knows what you have done. As long as you invest in a secure product, they are quiet. Nobody knows what you have done. You can be chopping around your money small, and nobody knows how you are chopping. But it's because you have saved and then invested some money. You don't have an issue with dealing with land guard and you start building and somebody comes to break it down and they seize the tools of the workers and you have to go to the police station. I don't have time for that kind of litigation. I am not big on land.
Okay.
I'm not big on land.
Someone is also asking, how do you save for your rent and your building at the same time?
That is a tricky one. So it's a subject matter we can discuss another day. What I call the multiple streams of income. The multiple streams of income. So let me talk a little bit about it. We can reserve it for another day. But can I say something?
Yes.
If your salary is equal to your income, it's close to a sin.
Your salary is equal to income. It's close to a sin.
It's close to a sin. There is a difference between salary and income. Salary is what you do and you are paid at the end of the month. Income is whatever comes to you at the end of the month, whether it's formal, informal. If you are selling ice block and you are preparing the ice block in your freezer at home, it is still income. It's not salary, but it's income. Your salary must not be equal to your income. You need to learn the concept of multiple streams of income, multiple cash flows. At the end of the month, your salary must be one source of income. It must not be the only source of income. If you are watching this show, it cannot be the case. I encourage you, you can also grab copies of my books and read them. Yes. I've authored a few books here and there on this subject matter we are discussing this evening. So I am saying that if you want to save for your rent and at the same time you want to build, it can be complicated. The way to do it is to make sure that you have other sources of income. But that has introduced another idea of the building. See, one of the mistakes I almost made with my wife is the idea of not knowing the difference between a dream house and a first house. So the first house we wanted to build was a huge story building, a huge one. And you see, it was so nice when they printed it, the 3D printing. I pasted it in our bedroom. In the morning, I pray over it. I receive it. That is our house coming. Somebody say amen. It was when we were about to start a building, when they did the foundation, the estimates for the quantities for the foundation, and they brought it. Then I discussed with my wife, and we both started feeling dizzy because it was so huge. And the average worker who tries to build that huge house, you will never finish.
Yeah.
You are going to complicate your life by paying rent, and you have money locked up in bricks and mortar. You will never finish. The average worker is going to use between 10 years and 20 years to build a house. And by the time you are done with the house, all your children are gone. So what is the point? Yeah. Why do you want to build a 7-bedroom house when we are giving birth to the average of 2, 3? Those of us who are 4, when you say you have 4, people ask you why? Why? What is wrong with you? Why? So if you see, your children are either going to be boys or girls. I recommend a 3-bedroom. The boys are in one room, the girls are in one room, the parents are in one room. Finish. Don't tell me about guest room matter and all that. Even those who live in chamber or receive guests, and the guests find places to sleep.
Wow, wow, wow,
How
wow.
much my 3-bedroom house? So don't make the mistake of anybody watching this, anybody. Once you have a land and you commit to your mind that I want to build, the average worker can do it in 5 years. Okay. You don't need more than 10,000 Ghana cedis to buy enough blocks. Or let's average about 10,000 for your simple, small 3-bedroom house. Where you have a challenge will be the foundation. The block work will be the easiest and the roofing. But you see, once you put the roof on the house, whether it is plastered or not plastered, painted or not painted, it's a house. Move in, you will sleep sound. It's your own house. Let's stop putting ourselves under unnecessary and avoidable pressure.
Wow. I don't know, but I think I don't know, viewers and followers, I can see you're all happy because you really dealt with something that is a very important thing in life, and it can be a stressor. If you don't have money, if you get confused, you don't even know you've worked for all this long, you cannot even take your pay slip and say I have this, and it can be very embarrassing, especially at this time and this era. So please, I think that Mr. Paul Kofi has done Mr. Paul Mante has done he's done it all. He's given us the clue of a 20% saving. He's shown us how to go about it. Please follow him on Facebook, on Instagram. He's written some books that you can read and then educate and upgrade yourself. And you're thinking, there's no need for pressure. Please, no need for pressure.
No. Independence.
Yes, independence. We'll talk about it. We'll bring you back again. Please, your last word.
I've seen a comment. Somebody is saying we must continue this discussion.
Yes, we will come back.
We put pressure. We put so much pressure on ourselves. People are owning cars that they shouldn't be driving. So you live in a rented house and you have 2 4-wheel drives. Why won't the landlord increase your rent? Let's not put pressure on ourselves. And I'm sorry to talk about cars, but car is not a property.
Yeah.
It's just a means of transportation. It's not a property. It's not an asset. When it comes to making money, there is a concept called the asset and liabilities. An asset is something you put money in that brings money back to you. A liability is anything you put money in that takes money out of your pocket. So car may be a necessity. You may need it so you can move around, but it's not really an asset. It's one of the things the price only depreciates. When you have a land and you are valuing your house every year, you will see the value of the house moving up year on year. If you have a house, if you buy a car, brand new car, immediately you drive it out of the garage, the price goes down. Wow. So let's not put pressure on ourselves. And it is the reason why there is corruption, under invoicing, over invoicing, a lot of things, because we want to impress and we want to have it very quickly. Anybody who is working, if you follow the things we have shared this evening and you are doing your 20% on a consistent basis, you are going to be fine. You don't need super income to become financially independent. What you need is steady income, not super income, steady income. Once you are focused and committed, whether you like it or not, you'll make a fortune. You'll become financially independent.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm starting mine on Monday, so please join me. We all want financially independent. It's a very good thing you've brought on board. We are so grateful for you coming on here today. We are going to bring you back, definitely. So viewers, we are coming to the end of the show. We don't want you to go, but we have to let you go and bring you back Thank you very much, Mr. Paul Kofi Mante, and also thanks to Linda, my very good friend, that's Linda's husband, for connecting us
Thank you.
to be a blessing. In fact, a big blessing to this live chat. Thank you very much. Have a good
Thank you
evening.
so much. Have a good evening. God bless you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Wow. We have learned a lot today. How to be financially independent. I mean, we've learned a lot. Please share the page. Help somebody to also be financially independent. Learn how to save. We learned that 20% at least of your saving can make you a financial independent person. Please, let's adhere to that. And no pressure. No pressure. Your electricity bills and water bill can always drop down. It is the way you use it. So please, let's adhere to what we've learned today, because that is what we want. We want to decrease the pressures, the stresses of life. And this is a very huge one, which if we adhere to it, will be very, very safe and financially independent. Thank you for watching Live Chat with Weinglo Family International. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll be talking about how to make your marriage work. It is also important. So see you and have a good night. Bye.